into the paper, see what the headlines are across Nigeria. And I have with me in the studio public affairs analyst and lawyer Jide Ologun, as well as journalist Dario Dufowokon. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you. Great. Let's begin with Blueprint newspaper. Blueprint says, as Nigeria records third COVID-19, let's not push our luck too far, National Assembly warns. And lawmakers want handshake stopped for now, suspend flights from UK, Italy, others decry absence of testing centers in the north and southeast. Amidst pandemic, Abuja doctors begin strike. We'll explore all avenues to protect our people, as President Buhari is credited as saying this. Noun shifts convocation indefinitely. That's the National Open University of Nigeria. All right, from there, let's go to Daily Times. Daily Times is also focusing on the COVID-19. Senate wants 2020 budget slashed as oil price slumps. Okay, and Nigeria ill-prepared, has no testing centers in the entire north, southeast, as Senate President Lawan is saying this. And PDP calls for more stringent measures. APC to invite health minister to explain precautionary measures. From Daily Times, let's go to Leadership newspaper. Also talking about the same thing. Coronavirus shuts down the Western world, Middle East too, as Saudi Arabia closes mosques, and the U.S. economy heading for recession. Trump is saying this. We are at war, says Macron, as the president of France. Nigeria records third case, cancels National Sports Festival, and federal government bans officials from foreign trips. Senate insists on travel ban. All that on the front page of the Leadership newspaper. Now, News Direct is where we go next, and federal government hunts for other British Airways passengers amidst new case of coronavirus. Ban foreign trip for government officials, and raises special task force to coordinate the affairs of against coronavirus. Now, from there, let's go to Daily Trust. Daily Trust is saying, as Nigeria records third COVID-19 case, federal government bans officials from foreign trips. Reps want flights from China, UK, US stopped. Senate requests 10.5 trillion naira 2020 budget slashed. A national festival convocations suspended. All VIPs must be screened. Dangote contractor quarantined. All right, all that you will see on the front page of the Daily Trust. Now, the Nation newspaper is the last one we're seeing now, and it has this the same thing as well, COVID-19. Buhari cancels trips as Nigeria gets third case. 30-year-old UK returnee positive. 300 on watch list, and those coming in must self-isolate, federal government insists. All right. Gentlemen, all the papers today are talking about COVID-19, or the coronavirus as it is called, and one would say certainly that's one of the biggest stories or concern across the world right now. I wonder what you make. We've seen the president of South Africa address their nation, President Cyril Ramaphosa. We've seen the president of Ghana, Akufo-Addo, addressing the nation, making decisive and stringent measures to protect its own people, especially when it comes to travel ban, like in the case of South Africa. A lot of Nigerians are saying we should have the same situation here. Jide, let me start with you on this. But Nigeria is very confident. We're not restricting or banning any flights from anywhere.
The effort the Nigerian government has put in place is to set up a task force. And the task force members have assured us that they will do everything within their powers to prevent the outbreak of COVID-19 in Nigeria. And we all hope so. And one of the steps taken is to bar government officials from traveling abroad. In fact, the report is that our president also is one of those who will be locally quarantined to stay back and not go out there. And again, some of the events that can bring a huge crowd together, like the sports festival, has been postponed. But the National Assembly is still worried, which is an extension of the worries expressed earlier, that how prepared are we in terms of screening, in terms of ensuring that those who come in here don't come and inflict us with this plague. And I can let you also realize a global concern right now. It's on report that some Europeans, US already banned trips from Europe, may come to Nigeria and travel to the US from Nigeria, particularly when we have a very, a flexible visa policy. So these are serious concerns, and we must do everything within our powers to ensure that we don't get, hit by this pandemic, because culturally we embrace one another, we love to be in huge crowds, and we also must commend the efforts of the government so far in containing the suspect index cases. All right, I think only one has been admitted to have been positive, and I was in Abuja airport. I didn't see much of the screening.
I think it is more with the international airports.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, particularly when some passengers have come in and they are at large. But I was in Cross River State and we were tested. In fact, a lady was asked to step aside probably because of the temperature. Okay. And of course, coming back to Lagos also at the private wing of the local airport, we were screened. So we need to do everything to ensure that we are proactive.
All right. Now, Dari, the Senate, the National Assembly is insisting that there has to be a travel ban somehow, especially from certain countries. They mentioned the UK, they mentioned the US, they mentioned Italy, and some other countries in that regard. How far would that go in the government changing its stance?
Oh, well, I think there is no gainsaying. There is no arguing the fact that Nigeria has not done enough when it comes to trying to prevent. I want to give kudos to the authorities in Nigeria, especially Lagos and Ogun State, the health ministries of these two states, then the
NCDC, the National Center for Disease Control.
Disease Control. I think they've done pretty well in handling cases that we had and ensuring that quarantining those who should be was done swiftly. But we've not done enough about preventing more cases, especially from people who will be returning to the country. I don't think we need anybody to tell us that we should ban or restrict flights from Italy. From Italy into Nigeria, we have proximity. We have people there, they have people here. And the tendency that somebody will want to come back home from Italy, very high. The tendency that somebody will want to visit Italy from Nigeria, very high. So we should be in the forefront of the ban of flights from Italy, naturally. That is one. Then if you talk about Europe, maybe our leaders are considering economy at this point in time. But that's not what we need to do. Europe, America, the United Kingdom, France are places we should swiftly ensure that we curtail the influx of people. Because the third case, for example, have been around for days, undetected. Now we know she is positive. There were people with her on that flight. Right. And we are here to bring them in and test them even. So we should, I agree with the National Assembly that the federal government should make pronouncement on the issue of who should come into this country and from where. Okay. It's very important.
All right. We have to leave you here now for want of time. We thank you so much, Dari, for coming on the program. And Jide, thank you very much. God bless.
Check out the headlines in the papers at this time. I have with me to review the top stories lawyer and public affairs analyst Jide Ologun and journalist Dari Odufo-Okon. Good morning, gentlemen. Trust you're doing great. Okay, well, beforehand, all the papers here are leading with the implications of the coronavirus, beginning with Blueprint that says Nigeria records third COVID-19 case. Let's not push our luck too far, NAS warns. Lawmakers want handshake stopped for now, suspend flights from UK, Italy, others. They suggest further. They also decry absence of testing centers in the north and southeast. Amidst pandemic, Abuja doctors begin strike. President Buhari insists that we'll explore all avenues to protect our people. And of course, the Open University of Nigeria is quoted here to shift its convocation indefinitely. The Daily Times is leading still with COVID-19, but with a slant that Senate wants 2020 budget slashed as oil price slumps. Nigeria ill-prepared as no testing centers in the entire north and southeast. PDP is calling for more stringent measures, and APC invites Health Minister to explain precautionary measures. Leadership says coronavirus shuts down Western world. The Middle East too, as Saudi Arabia closes mosques. U.S. economy heading for recession, says President Trump. We are at war, French President Macron quoted there. Nigeria records third case, cancels National Sports Festival. FG bars officials from foreign trips. Senate insists on travel ban. News Direct says the FG hunts for other British Airways passengers amidst new case of coronavirus. Ban foreign trip for government officials and raises special task force. For the Daily Trust, as Nigeria records the third case, FG bans officials from foreign trips. All VIPs must be screened. Dangote contractor quarantined. Senate's request 10.5 trillion naira 2020 budget slashed. And there's this map of Africa, 444 confirmed cases in 39 countries. Indeed, that's from 300 yesterday. It's now at 444. The Nation is leading with President Buhari cancelling all trips in the wake of this third case confirmed. 30-year-old UK returnee positive, 300 said to be on the watch list. Those coming in must self-isolate, federal government insists. Let's check out Vanguard, the final paper at this time. Senate and House of Reps and NMA and other groups say shut all borders now. At least 730 people from high-risk countries enter Nigeria daily. FG suspends National Sports Festival in Edo. Government bans officials from foreign travels. So much to ponder on. But at the moment, we have breaking news, which says that a third confirmed case of the coronavirus in Nigeria, and the management of the National Youth Service Corps has shut down all orientation camps in the country. The directive, which came from the NYSC headquarters in Abuja this morning, disrupted the orientation exercise of the 2020 Batch A stream across the 37 centers in the country. Corps members have now been advised to leave their camps immediately. All right, so Dare and Jide Ologun. So first, the sports festival is cancelled, and now the NYSC has ordered all corps members to leave immediately. What are your thoughts? Let me begin with you, Dare.
This breaking news is soothing. Good news. It's, to me, a sign that we are beginning to realize that we cannot do our own things differently from the rest of the world. The in thing now is to prevent gatherings. All forms of multitudes must be discouraged. We waited till yesterday to announce the suspension of the National Sports Festival. I was scared that I'm going to have over 10,000 people gathered in Edo. Edo, if you look at what I would call the proximity of Edo to Italy, I keep talking about it. These are things government should take cognizance of. There is that tendency for people from Italy to even sneak into Nigeria, and their most likely port of call or where they will be headed to will be Edo. And that's why we wanted to have a national sports festival. I was glad when I heard that, but the government is thinking. Then, while all this was going on, we were having orientation camps all over the country, bringing almost the youngest of our agile population together across the country, while nations were suspending worships. If Saudi Arabia will say there will be no more Friday Jumat, that's a gathering of faithfuls to pray. If the Pope will announce that I will not be at my usual window, so that there won't be the usual large mass, I'm going to be more Catholic than the Pope. We still attend churches in Nigeria. Our schools are still open. As this pandemic becomes more of a global worry, we should begin to look inward. we are lucky. It is not as if we were more prepared than Italy or France or even America. I think we are still a bit luckier than them. The distance between us and some of the worst case locations, maybe. Some are saying the level of heat in our own country, maybe. But we shouldn't take our luck too far.
And that's exactly what the
We
lawmakers
should not
are
take-
saying.
Yes.
Right.
Don't let's begin to think that it is like this and this is how it will be. It
Let
will
me
get
compare
worse.
notes with Mr. Ologun here now. Okay, let's not push our luck too far. Dari pointed out, the proximity of, Edo's borders now, looking at those irregular routes that migrants take to get to Europe at all points. Was that really what prompted the postponement of the sports festival? And with this NYSC scheme now also wading into the whole issue, how in order is the country?
Like a wise man said, that it never hurts to be proactive. And I think the government is just being proactive. We have a population of 200 million. And if you consider the fact that the US has cases in all the 50 states in the US, and yet we have not even had in 6 states in Nigeria, is it not better to prevent the inflow of this pandemic virus? And that is why, in addition to the internal measures we are taking, like the postponement of the sports festival, shutting down of the orientation camps, why don't we look at our borders that can assimilate this virus and take proactive measures there too? It is temporary. The EU has shut down their borders for 30 days. It's not forever. So that we try to manage at the preventive level. If
Schools
not,
have also been shut elsewhere.
you talk of South Africa, you talk about Ghana,
here in Africa.
and if you are now considering economic interest, which is it not the living that we benefit from the economic measures? And at a time like this, we also need to quickly learn. For example, there's a report now that we're trying to locate travelers into Nigeria who came by British Airways. That shows that we don't have reliable data. If you are going into the US at the border control, they want to know where you will be staying. You must be traceable to a specific address. So we need to upgrade our system so that we don't find ourselves in a very terrible problem. So right now, I tie myself with the National Assembly saying, don't let us push our luck too far. It's still on record we're able to contain Ebola. But this COVID-19 appears to be more dangerous than Ebola, because as we speak now, 150 countries have been affected, about 6,000 have died, about 27 countries in Africa. So we don't have to wait.
It's even far more than that from
exactly.
what
I
we
mean,
see.
on the conservative reportage level. So we don't have to be reactive in managing crisis. We have to be proactive. Some of us are now asking the federal government, can you consider controlling this at the entry point, so that we don't have, a wildfire of terrible crisis, in addition to the issues that are battling us as a people right now.
A safe place to stop this conversation right now. I thank you both, Didi Ologun and Dari Odufor, for your insights on this issue. We'll continue to monitor the situation and see what more the government has to combat this scourge.
Let's head into the papers, see what the headlines are this morning, and have with me lawyer and public affairs analyst Didi Ologun, as well as journalist Dari Odufor. Good morning, gentlemen. Great. Now, Blueprint is where we start from right now. Blueprint newspaper says, as Nigeria records third COVID-19 case, let's not push our luck too far. The National Assembly warns, and lawmakers want handshake stopped for now, suspend flights from UK, Italy, and others, decry absence of testing centers in North and Southeast. Amidst pandemic, Abuja doctors begin strike. We'll explore all avenues to protect our people. President Buhari saying that a National Open University of Nigeria shifts convocation indefinitely. That's the Blueprint. Daily Times is next, and it focuses on the COVID-19. Senate wants 2020 budget slashed as oil price slumps. Nigeria ill-prepared as no testing centers in entire North and Southeast The Senate President Lawan is saying this. And the PDP calls for more stringent measures. APC to invite health minister to explain precautionary measures. All that on the Daily Times leadership newspaper is next. And it says coronavirus shuts down Western world. Middle East too, as Saudi Arabia closes mosques. U.S. economy heading for recession. President Trump is saying this. We're at war, says Macron as the French president. Nigeria records third case. Cancels National Sports Festival. Federal government bans officials from foreign trips. Senate insists on travel ban. And we also got the breaking news that NYSC camps have been shot by the government as well. We got that news earlier. Let's go to News Direct now. Federal government hunts for other British Airways passengers amidst new case of coronavirus. Ban foreign trip for government officials. Raises special task force. Okay, that's the News Direct. Daily Trust is next now, and it says as Nigeria records third COVID-19 case, federal government bans officials from foreign trips. Reps want flights from China, UK, US stopped, and Senate requests 10.5 trillion naira 2020 budget slashed, and national festival convocations suspended. All VIPs must be screened. Dangote contractor quarantined. Find all that on the Daily Trust. The Nation newspaper says COVID-19, Buhari cancels trips as Nigeria gets third case. 30-year-old UK returnee positive, 300 on watch list, and those coming in must self-isolate. Federal government insists. Then Vanguard newspaper is the last one we're looking at now. It's still talking about the same thing, coronavirus. Shut all borders now. Senate, House of Reps, NMA, that's the Nigerian Medical Association, and others are advising government, are urging government to do that. As Nigeria confirms third case of coronavirus, at least 730 people from high-risk countries enter Nigeria daily. Federal government suspends National Sports Festival in Edo. Government bans officials from foreign travels, and certainly NYSC camp also ordered to close in the 37 centers across the country. All right, gentlemen, the realities of the coronavirus is staring us in the face in different aspects of our endeavors every day. What one would think, oh, I read it on the news, what France is doing, or what Italy is doing, or South Korea, or China, or United States, or Britain. It is here with us now. We're seeing it live and feeling it live. Now, there's a presidential task force on this that has been set up. Some persons from at least some analysis we've had asking what difference will that make right now? Let me start with you, Dari.
It's good that we have a task force. But a look at the men and persons on the list released come to me like a team of politicians. How will I maybe that task force will eventually get down to work and put together a team of scientists. I would have expected to see some microbiologists, some virologists, and others like that.
From the various universities or research institutes.
Let's make use of our researchers. That's what the world, that's what is being done now, the world over. Japan, as up to yesterday, is still promising that they are working hard. They may soon have a breakthrough. Japan. China is daily developing vaccines that they feel should, if not cure, alleviate. Yeah. America, you can give it to them. They are talking about it every day. Israel. If we are not in that league yet, at least let's put together people who can carry out researches on how better, if not best, to curtail the spread. Oh, if we do this, this is not likely to spread. News that the level of heat here may not allow it to spread. It's coming to us from abroad.
Exactly.
What are our local researchers doing? So when I heard that we were going to have a task force, that was what I was looking forward to. But now that that did not happen, the politicians in that committee or in that task force should now give us At least I know Dr. Mamora is there. He's a medical practitioner. He reached out to researchers. What we need now are people, learned, educated in the direction of what is happening. We cannot continue to search for round pegs when what we have to fill are square holes. Let's get the right people who have the required knowledge to help us. We need help and we should look for it.
All right, Jide, as it is right now, we have seen some drastic measures the government is taking from the National Sports Festival that has been postponed and the NYSC camp that were ordered to close today and all of that. If you go to our markets, the average Nigerian market, open market like Mile 12 or Makodi Modern Market or Kando or Sabongiri Market and all of that, and you see how people crisscross each other and so on, it's not different from, in fact, it could even be worse than an NYSC camp or the National Sports Festival, as the case may be. Would you see some drastic measures in that regard as to how to curtail people from converging in large numbers, also mosques, also churches?
I think at this point in time, my counsel would be that the wise ones may not wait for government directive to take themselves out of possible invasion by this global emergency. So as much as you can avoid such vulnerable gatherings, why not? Whether the government is willing to pronounce on it now or not. And we have seen what is going on in the global community. We have mentioned that in the US, it has gone to all the 50 states, and they are taking several measures, But then, I want to look at situations where even if the government is still considering shutting down our air borders for travelers who wants to come into Nigeria, do we have the isolation facilities? Do we have the medical facility that can help us contain
Lagos has a 100-bed
Yeah,
facility.
we give Lagos kudos for that. But there's a report that the case is not the same in the northern part of the country and some other areas. So is it the time to strengthen the health sector? Because there was a time we handled Ebola. Ebola is gone. Now it's COVID-19. What next? Because the world is dynamic. So I think this is the time for Nigeria to sit down, shift attention from politics to governance issues. What can we have on ground? And again, the advice of the National Assembly, that while it is good that you are preventing government officials from travel out of the country, it's also good to prevent those who may come in, because this is a highly infectious disease, into the country. Because like the question you asked, if you look at our marketplaces, God forbid that we have just 30 persons.
In fact, one person
that choose to be carriers
you can trust one person can spread.
Exactly.
A carrier in
and the
12 markets.
National Orientation Agency, we should continue to engage the people. But like I said, personally, I think it's wise that you don't even need to wait for government declarations.
We have to leave it here now. Jide Ologun, thank you so much for coming. Dario Odufo, welcome. Thank you very much.